What's up YouTube, Zero here, and today I have an amazing Ninetales plus Rapidash combo in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over each of the cards in this deck. I'll talk about each of the cards individually, and then I'll talk about why each of these cards pair really well with each other. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG Pocket content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, let's talk about this deck. First, let's start with the stars of the show. That's going to be Ninetales and Rapidash. First, I will talk about Ninetales. Ninetales, I'm only going to have the one version. You can see on the left hand side that I do have a couple of versions of Rapidash that I will talk about in a second after I talk about Ninetales, who is one of my favorite Pokemon. Ninetales, pretty straightforward. You get this from Genetic Apex Charizard. For 2 energy, Flamethrower deals 90 damage. However, you do have to discard 1 fire energy from the Pokemon for utilizing Flamethrower. However, 2 energy for 90 damage and 1 evolution, of course Ninetales evolves from Vulpix, is really powerful and can deal a lot of damage extremely quickly. Looking at this deck, you can see that it's not going to be a heavy hitter in terms of damage. You do have Ninetales that deals 100. One of the Rapidashes, you have 40. You flip a coin to maybe do 60 more, so 100. You add Blaine, which I will talk about, which adds 30 more damage to Ninetales and Rapidash. It's not going to be dealing a ton of damage. The point of this deck is to hit my enemy as fast as possible before my opponent gets set up. That's the point of this Ninetales plus Rapidash deck, is get set up before my opponent gets set up. That's always the name of the game in Pokemon TCG Pocket. However, this one more so. I'm not relying on EX Pokemon. I am taking Pokemon that are still powerful. I'm pairing them up with trainer cards to hit my opponent as fast as possible, defeating them before they can get set up. This deck does work really well, but you have to get set up quickly. That's why I love Ninetales, because it does get set up quickly. For 1 evolution and a couple of energy, dealing 90 damage is absolutely fantastic. You're gonna be able to defeat most Pokemon with a couple of hits for that. So that's why I do love Ninetales. Vulpix is pretty straightforward. It's also from Genetic Apex Charizard. Tail Whip, for 1 colorless energy, you flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So this is going to increase the survivability of both Vulpix and Ninetales as soon as you evolve. If you don't get hit, you're not taking damage, and it's going to increase the survivability. You can see Ninetales only has 90 HP, so you're not going to want to get hit a lot. You can get hit a little bit, but not a lot, because 90 HP isn't going to be a ton. Again, the point is getting set up quicker than your opponent. Now let's talk about the 2 combinations of Ponyta and Rapidash. I'm going to talk about the first one that you can see on the top part of the deck, and then I'll talk about the second one in the second row after that. So the first combination is my non-gambler combination. I have your basic Ponyta, which 60 HP for 1 energy flare deals 20 damage. You can get that from Genetic Apex decks, packs. The next Rapidash, again, pretty basic. 100 HP for 1 fire energy, deals 40 damage with Fire Main, and again, you can get that from Genetic Apex packs. So that's the non-risky Rapidash Ponyta combination. Let's just take the damage I'm given. I have 1 energy, which is nice because if I am able to evolve first, then I can just equip that Rapidash and deal 40 damage immediately. So I do like that Rapidash for that reason, that if I am able to evolve first, I get the first turn, which means I equip energy second. But evolve first, I can equip that one energy, evolve into my Rapidash, and hit for 40. The next combination is going to be my Gambler combination of Ponyta and Rapidash. So the second Ponyta, still 60 HP, however, for 1 fire energy is Stomp. It deals 10 damage, however, you flip a coin, and if you get heads, you deal 30 more damage. So 50% of the time, you're going to be dealing 40 damage. Again, this is a gambler's move. However, dealing 40 damage can really turn the tide of battle in your favor. So sometimes I do like using this Ponyta so I can flip the tide of battle in my favor. Of course, if you're not a gambler, just go with the other Ponyta, put 2 of them in your deck. If you are a gambler and you want to gamble more often, put 2 of these Ponytas in your deck. It's really up to you. I like using the combination of 1 and 1 because sometimes I like to be a gambler. Sometimes I like to take the guaranteed hit. Now let's move on. Of course, that Ponyta is going to be from the Mythical Island packs. So if you do want that Ponyta, go to the Mythical Island packs. Now let's go with the Gambler Rapidash, and this is going to be from the Mythical Island packs as well. 100 HP like the other Rapidash, however, Rising Lunge deals 40 damage for 2 energy, 1 fire, 1 colorless. However, this Rapidash, you flip a coin. If heads, the attack does 60 more damage. So again, a Gambler's Rapidash, where 50% of the time you're going to be dealing 100 damage. So that's really nice and can absolutely turn the tide of battle. But the drawback is you may only be dealing 40 damage for 2 energy, which isn't good. We already see our other Rapidash that deals 40 damage for 1 energy. It can absolutely be great to deal that 100 damage, but it depends on how the battle is flowing and which Rapidash you feel confident in. That's why I like having the different Rapidashes, because I can choose, depending on how the battle is flowing, which one I want to go with in the moment. Maybe I want the guaranteed damage. Maybe I want to flip the coin, or instead of just the guaranteed damage, maybe I need to play the Rapidash quickly and get the hit off. I'm able to evolve first. Obviously, both are doing 40 damage, but maybe I don't want to utilize the energy on my Gambler Rapidash. Maybe I want to equip that energy on the Ninetales on the bench. So I'll go with my first Rapidash, my non-Gambler Rapidash. It really depends on how the battle is flowing. So now let's go into the support cards. Pokeball, you draw a basic Pokemon from your deck. That's pretty obvious. Professor's Research, you draw 2 cards. 2 fairly basic cards that are in a lot of deck, but of course have a lot of advantage to putting them in a deck. Combined with that, Pokemon Communication. Pokemon Communication can be extremely important to getting the Pokemon you need. Again, I'm trying to defeat my enemy as quickly as possible. I need to get it set up quickly, so I need the Pokemon that I need as soon as possible. Whether it's Ninetales, whether it's one of the Rapidashes that I need. Pokemon Communication, for those of you who don't know, you take a Pokemon in your hand and you switch it with a random Pokemon in your deck. So that can help you get to the card you need quicker. Next, 3 more support cards. And I want to talk about the most important of the 3, Blaine. Blaine is going to be critical when pairing with Ninetales and Rapidash. Now, Blaine, during this turn, attacks used by your Ninetales, Rapidash, or Magmar do 30 plus damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So, non-gambler Rapidash will do 70 damage if you add Blaine to its attack. Ninetales will do 120 damage. Gambler's Rapidash, if you do hit that heads, will deal 130 damage. So Blaine is crucial and can deal a ton of damage to your opponents and really catch your opponents off guard. So Blaine is crucial in this deck. Next, I have Sabrina. The reason why I choose Sabrina over Cyrus, a lot of people are going to ask that question. Again, I'm trying to defeat my opponent early on. Some of the Pokemon that I may want to get to on the bench may not have any damage on them. So I'm going to try to pull them out as quickly as possible so I can do damage to them. Ninetales deals 90 damage. If you add Blaine, you're going to deal 120 damage. Of course, you can't use Blaine and Sabrina at the same time, but 90 damage for a lesser or a basic Pokemon on the bench is going to be great. You're going to be able to pull that Pokemon out before your opponent can get set up. So I do prefer Sabrina here because the Pokemon you may want to get to or want to damage may not have any damage on it. Cyrus is great as battles rage on because your opponent can't hide weakened Pokemon on the bench. Sabrina in this instance is going to draw out a Pokemon that may not be at its full capacity, at its full power. It may not be fully evolved. So I'm pulling it out into that active slot so I can either defeat it or deal massive amounts of damage to it before it can get set up. Last, I'm adding Team Rocket Grunt to this deck. Team Rocket Grunt can be amazing to slowing your opponent down. For those of you who don't know, Team Rocket Grunt, which is from the Shining Revelry pack, you flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, you discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So of course, it's a 50-50 chance for that first coin flip, but if you even discard one energy, that can turn the tide of battle. So I do love Team Rocket Grunt so I can slow my opponent down and get set up quicker than my opponent can get set up. So I love Team Rocket Grunt in this deck. I didn't mention, but Blaine is from the genetic Apex Charizard and Sabrina is from the genetic Apex Charizard as well. This deck combination can be built extremely quickly when facing opponents, and opponents won't be ready for it. This can hit really hard. You have Ninetales that can hit for 90 plus Blaine, which is 120, and it goes really quickly. Utilizing your tools to get those evolutions, such as Pokemon Communication, Pokeball, are absolutely great for this deck. And then you can utilize Sabrina and Team Rocket Grunt to slow down your opponent from getting to where they want to be and slowing down their progress in their setup. Blaine is great for that added damage. Of course, you can switch out Ponytas and Rapidashes based on how much of a gambler's mood you're going to be in. I prefer to have both sets because it depends on how the game is flowing to which Pokemon I want to put in that active slot or on the field. Sometimes I want to hit quickly, so I go with non-gambler's Rapidash because it is only one fire energy. Or sometimes I want to utilize that fire energy to set up my Ninetales, because that Ninetales, of course, discarding one energy after my attack, I may want to build up 3 or 4 energy on my Ninetales while my non-gambler's Rapidash is in that active slot. Of course, if I want to gamble or I need to do the extra damage, Gambler's Rapidash is right there so I can do the extra damage, or at least hope to do the extra damage. Let me know in the comments section if you have utilized a Ninetales Rapidash similar to this one. Believe it or not, Ninetales Rapidash was one of the first deck combinations that I ever built when I first started playing Pokemon TCG Pocket. Ninetales plus Rapidash in Blaine is an absolutely great combo. Of course, as new packs have come out, I've tweaked this deck a little bit to make it even better to slowing down my opponent before my opponent can get set up, such as adding Team Rocket Grunt and adding Pokemon Communication so I can get set up quicker. I absolutely love this deck combination, and despite not having any EX Pokemon, it can still hit enemies extremely hard, extremely fast, and surprise enemies when you're coming out on top. I've had a lot of concedes utilizing this deck because I'm able to utilize a Sabrina to pull out a card an opponent is setting up on the bench, and they're not ready for it. They don't know what to do after I defeat that Pokemon or the evolution chain that they're trying to get set up for. So I absolutely love this deck combination. If you haven't tried it out, I absolutely recommend checking this one out, especially if you love Ninetales or you're looking for a deck that doesn't have any EX Pokemon. Sometimes EX Pokemon can really break a game if they get defeated. In this deck, you don't have to worry about losing a Pokemon and losing 2 points to that. So I love this deck, but let me know in the comment section if you have something similar and which changes you'd make. Well, until next time, peace.